like, yeah, I'm gonna just stay with such and such, right? I said, all right, cool. Anybody in Bedford Hills, can you please step to the front? So now I'm like, damn, this shit weird. The hell? You feel me? So at this time, I try to be intimate. I'm keeping it 100 with you. I try to be intimate with her. And she came in the bed with me. She hugged and kissed me, the whole thing. And at this time, I'm trying to be intimate with her. When it's time to go down, she slipped out of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, okay. After she do that, she go back to sleep in the room with homegirl this particular night. I said, something's fishy here. I said, I ain't no rocket scientist, but this ain't adding up. You feel me? So, I said, damn, something wrong, something ain't right here. So one time, I had to go do something. I had to go handle some business. So I go handle business. I come back in the crib. It's a big ass crib. And they got like a long walkway to get to our bedroom. It's like a long walkway. And then on the other side is the other rooms. So I come in the crib. As soon as I walk in, I look down towards our bedroom. I see my daughter in our room by herself. I say, yo, what the heck? Where the hell is she at? So I go up the other side. And when I tell you this, it's a big crib, so it's a long walkway. I go to the other side, I go in the room, she in the bed. I don't see homegirl though. It's like she booked it or something when I came. But I see a whole plate, peanuts, cashew, all these type of raisins all laid out. But my daughter in the room by herself. So I said, yo, why the baby in the room by herself? She made some bullshit excuse. Extreme liar. You never seen a liar like this in your life. I said, where homegirl at? She didn't even answer that. It was just like a weird answer. I pushed past that. Moving on along. I hate to say this, y'all. I hate to say this. But you want to know why she started having so much animosity towards me? Because I ended up finding out the truth, y'all. And I'm not saying this because it's a bad thing, but I'm saying this because, when I say not a bad thing, because I don't judge people who live that lifestyle. But she has done a lot of bashing towards people who live that lifestyle and talk so bad about them and say so many foul things about them that it hurted her so bad that I knew the truth. So on another day, I caught her with this individual in our house while my daughter was on the bed with them. Ended up catching it. Now, this individual is a female. So I can't do nothing to her. I don't put my hands on females. Y'all wanna know what I did? I told the individual, I said, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't put my hands on her because I'm not gonna do that. I don't hit women. But I told her to get out. I said, get the fuck out. Because I feel very disrespected that took place in my house while my daughter was right there on the bed. And you know what she did? Blame me. Said it wasn't true. Said my ears deceived me, my eyes deceived me. Which goes back to what I was telling y'all earlier. She's the type of person who will say something to you, and 10 to 5 minutes later, she'll say, I didn't say that. Straight by.
You know, back in the old days, you know, according to, you know, the scenario, you know, I would have said he's got to pack it in and, you know, keep it a buck and shit. Don't lower yourself, you know, to stoop to a Jezebel's level. You know, don't lower yourself. Don't acknowledge it and everything. That's what I would normally say and shit. But in 2025 and shit, circa May 23rd, May 23rd, 2025 and shit. I uh I approve of Papoose telling these stories about Remy Ma. Right? I approve. And quite honestly, you know. The reason I say that is because for far too long in our supposed ethnic community, men have been hiding the abuse. You know, we've been hiding the abuse behind closed doors. You know, I'm not just talking about physical. You know, I've spoken on this before. You know, it's mostly verbal abuse and spiritual abuse and shit. You know, physical is mixed in there liberally. You know, as much as we season our food, ethnically speaking and shit. All right, but a lot of us we tend to just carry these wounds throughout our lives and shit, and we just keep fucking with those wounds, keep picking at it, and it never heals. You never heal and shit. I do have to say that I think his explanation of things is a bit long-winded and shit. And I guess he has a pretty good relationship with Clarissa Shields. A lesser woman would be worried about the amount of passion that he's putting into his into this series of videos and shit. I've seen them in clips. Yeah, maybe it's one long video and shit. But Papoose has grown tired of Remy Ma's constant stalking and needling of him and shit, despite what the sisterhood might say and shit, and decided to start opening up the closet and letting things out and shit. I don't think anyone's surprised that she was licking stamps and behind bars and shit. That she acquired a taste and shit. Pun intended. She acquired a taste for licking stamps and shit, and I guess it makes a lot of sense. The whole the whole way their relationship just petered out. Had just died on the vine once she got out of jail and shit. And then makes me look at Easy the Block Captain, the her public infidelity for the most part and shit. Makes you look at him a little bit different and shit. Nothing in no favorable light or anything, but I feel like Easy to given how he looks and everything, the weaker guy, Easy to Block Captain, motherfucker. Easy to Block Captain. Given how he looks and everything, it seems like Remy Ma, just my theory, not alleging anything, but just my own personal theory and opinion. She was trying to replace Papoose with a weaker version of him, a knockoff version that she can control and shit, because she wants Papoose to look the other way. All right, when I was in the army back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, they used to call that sitting on a grape and shit. Sitting on a literal grape. And I sat on a lot of grapes and shit. Virginia and other places. All right, and Remy Ma wanted him to just look the other way and be silently cucked into oblivion and shit. A lot of these rebel women and shit. I have to say that rebel women, I'm tired of calling them a Jezebel and shit. A vampire is more. She is like a vampire, man. She's like a spiritual, an emotional vampire to the highest order, actually. She wants to make him complicit in the bad decisions that she makes, whether he likes it or not and shit. And they have children and shit, so the children serve as some kind of hostage because you don't want to lose access to your children. She'll automatically get access to your children and your resources and shit, despite their level of wealth. All right, despite her level of wealth, and she'll continue doing the things that she was doing that destroyed the marriage and shit, and add layers to it. She'll do even more things and shit because deep down, these women want you to know what they're doing and shit. They want to see the despair in your face. They want to break you and shit. They want to break your spirit because they get a high off of it. Their endorphins spike and shit when they fuck you over and shit. And I'm strictly speaking mostly about my own ethnic community and shit. So women get off on it and shit. That's why y'all hear this bullshit about somebody being controlling and I got my own this and my own that and shit. Masculine as fuck. Remy Ma's masculine and shit. She's just basic as fuck to me personally, shit. Okay, she's just a pound town chick and shit at best. Okay, and you take all the enhancements off, you take all the makeup off and all the wigs, you just got a basic bottom bitch and shit. And she's criminal minded and shit. She went to jail for making a dumbass decision. This man supported her and she rewarded him by stabbing him in the back and shit and cuckolding his ass. with a weaker, lesser version of him that she whipped up, and her true lover and shit, allegedly speaking, some chick she's sharing bunks with. They was having a good old time in that cell, man. Rubbing in a, sucking and licking stamps all over, licking the shit out of some stamps, man. The front and the back, probably. Who knows? This is what she's all about. She has no respect for her husband, or their child or children, including her own fucking children. She brought into this relationship. She don't respect shit. She don't have enough respect to just take that shit to another location and shit. To be honest with him, he was coming to visit her while she was in jail. She didn't even give a fuck, And it makes you feel. I bet it make him feel shitty. I better make him feel shitty when you think about all the time and energy he put into her and showing her that he was there for her, and it didn't mean shit in the end of the day. And black women are still gonna call him a simp and a weakling and shit, and say that he's stalking her and that he wants her and he doesn't really want Clarissa Shields, the younger independent woman, a world athlete. No, I don't even want to get into that. It's not about Clarissa Shields' apparent value to him as a life partner, shit, and a mate. It really is. She's probably the definition of, until we see something fucked up from her, other than her trying to fight men and shit back in, a couple years ago. Other than that, and that she anywhere getting lumped up by her sparring partner, dude. Getting back to Remy, there's nothing you can do with a rebel woman. Okay? She is literally a Jezebel. Okay? She is a ungrateful, nasty ass. Yeah, I feel like the old Chris Jericho. Trash bag hole. That's my opinion. Alright, just the fact that all this bullshit, these people are in their fucking 40s, man. Acting like teenagers doing this bullshit, airing shit out on the internet. I don't think that's cool. But in 2025, I understand it's warranted and shit. We've lain silent too long and shit. And let this thing scab over and shit. Now we have to pick at that and make the wound raw. Make it raw again. There's no healing and shit without correction and oversight and checks and balances and shit. There's no way that Papoose can check Remy Ma, even revealing her dirtiest secrets. It's only going to make people want to see more of her and go to the Google to find out who this woman is that she's, lapping, slurping on and shit. She's licking that stamp, man. All right. Was he surprised to find her there? I don't know. And I bet if he would have, reacted differently instead of telling a woman to get out and shit, there would have been some kerfuffle and shit, or kerfuffle, or whatever the fuck you pronounce that, excuse me. There would have been some dust up and shit, and they would have had to go to a room and talk this out. And she would have told him every exquisite detail of what she did with that other woman and shit. Because they have a cuckold, damaged ass women. Some of them act like they don't want to draw you into this shitty malfeasant lifestyle and shit. But at the end of the day, they get an endorphin spike and shit out of you knowing it, having your spirit broken and feeling crestfallen and heartbroken and shit. It makes whatever they do with the other person, it enhances it. Okay? It's like a drug, the spiritual drug that they get from destroying a good man. All right? You can tell me who hurt me and all that, and I got a middle finger for you. I got a whole cotton field full of middle fingers. And when you get through going out there picking those middle fingers, I have my black ass for you to kiss and shit. I'm somewhat of an authority on Jezebels. Okay, I understand them explicitly, and I know what they want. And sometimes you gotta play the hand you dealt and shit. As far as Papoose is going, I don't see anything wrong with him sitting there blabbing and shit. I just feel like it's long-winded. And, personally speaking, if it was me doing that shit, and I had the resources that Papoose had and shit, I would just simply produce a surviving Remy Ma whole deal and put that shit on streaming or something, like Tubi, or have motherfuckers pay to hear that shit and just tell all that bullshit. She sent a cease and desist letter, it just makes it look worse and shit. Okay, who knows what this woman is doing besides licking a stamp? That's probably not. And she's licked the stamps. Okay, she's went behind bars and found that she loves the, go gaga gaga, slurp slurp slurp, probably the front and the back. Who knows with the nasty shit they do? I'm not tripping on the alphabet community. Okay, for any of you bitches come over here tripping and shit. And I ain't bending the fucking knee because you might cancel me and shit. I'm just being honest and shit. You think it's fair to introduce somebody into your lifestyle that don't necessarily feel that way or being to go that way? If she gave any fucks, even though she treated him like shit while she was behind bars, if she gave any fucks about this man whatsoever, she would have came out and separated from him and told him that she didn't feel worthy of him. And she wouldn't have to elaborate. You know, he likes masculine women. Okay, he likes masculine women and shit. That reads on him. A lot of people call him a simp and a weakling and shit. Maybe it's nothing of the sort. It's really none of our business. But they putting this shit out for public consumption. I feel like it's a teachable moment for kings. Alright? It's a teachable moment. Alright? If she had any kind of fucking respect for him on any goddamn level, she would have never brought her lover, her alleged lover, or a fuck buddy into their home and shit and had the other woman perform a sex act on her while her child was on the same bed, supposedly. Okay? Or even in the same fucking house, man. That is all kinds of grimy and shit. Women do the most fucked up, messed up shit when they check out emotionally and shit. And in the community, in the Western community and shit, you guys rug sweep all that bullshit. And so, because I know this and because I know that there will not be the proper amount of shame or blowback and shit, I made a fucking video. Okay? I made a fucking video. You go on, you rock on papoose and shit, and I don't know, keep your head on a swivel and shit. This woman is criminal minded, as you well know. You spent a number of years going to religiously to visit her in jail to make sure that she knew you were out there on the inside, and she didn't even care because she had somebody on the inside that she was very cozy with and shit. Cozy enough that she would bring the same person. She would bring the same motherfucker she was laying up in her bunk with, locked behind a bar with in the middle of the night, lights out, licking a stamp and shit, and bring her home so she could lick that stamp some more shit in your house and in your motherfucking face. So what else can you do? You can't do any mafia shit, do a drive-by on them bitches or nothing, and it would just make you weak. It would make you weak. It would make you a lesser person and shit. I don't think you could be any more lesser in this supposed ethnic community than you are now and shit, even with Clarissa Shields. So rock on, player. Alright, and that being said, kings, you know how we do it. Okay? Protect your bag. Oh, better yet. Sorry I got it wrong, okay? And I do this shit raw every fucking time, so don't shit on me. Anyway, who's the man, right? Yeah, look at the picture. Who's the man? You know, you'd be surprised. Maybe the chick, the little chick, is the man, and Remy's the chick. I don't know. But that being said, keep your head on a swivel, protect your bag, and last and definitely not least in this case, do not make fallen women the stewards of your family. Okay? Don't do that shit. That's important, as you saw. And last but not least, do not make fallen women, shitty ass Jezebel fallen women who have a plethora of malfeasant sexual proclivities that they refuse to share with you, even though they're in a committed fucking relationship with you, with a legally bound and shit, and they don't feel the need to clue you in after you done gave all your ass and everything and grinded, got shit from the dirt from them. Okay? This is the outcome of fucking with a Jezebel. Alright? Above all else, do not make fallen women the mothers of your goddamn children and shit, because your children are your future. They are your fucking legacy and shit. And I'm sorry to curse like that. It is kind of spite me and shit. And I am an authority on the Jezebel. Okay? That being said, SYSBM means save yourself, black men. All praise to the Most High.
The Black Patriarchy. A non-existent group of fictional black male power brokers not discredited, erroneously jailed or outright killed by the minority majority who look the other way as they work tirelessly to shame, oppress, and outright take out the altruistic black female populace of the honorable democratic United States of America. 3K's inset bitches. These evil wealthy members of the black patriarchy are the sole reason for all the ills of the black community, walking, talking, holding down jobs, and doing everything up to and including giving their very lives in service to their baby mamas and baby's motherfucking kids. Their motto that strikes fear into the hearts of black women everywhere: bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.